A specific man had a jackass, which had conveyed the corn sacks to the plant inexhaustibly for the vast majority a drawn-out year. Yet his solidarity was going, and he was developing increasingly more unsuitable for work. Then his lord started to consider how he could best save his keep. Yet the jackass, seeing that no decent wind was blowing, took off and set out making a course for Bremen. There, he thought, I can unquestionably be town performer. When he had strolled some distance, he found a dog lying out and about, panting like one who had run till he was worn out. "What are you wheezing so for, you enormous individual?" asked the jackass. "Okay," answered the dog, "as I am old, and every day become more fragile, and never again can chase, my lord needed to kill me. So I took to flight. Yet presently how am I to procure my bread?" "I listen for a minute," said the jackass. "I'm going to Bremen, and will be town performer there. Go with me and draw in yourself likewise as a performer. I will play the lute, and you will beat the kettle drum." The dog concurred, and on they went. In a little while they came to a feline, sitting on the way, with a face like 3 blustery days. Presently then, at that point, "Old shaver, what has gone aslant with you?" asked the jackass. "Who can be happy when his neck is in harm's way?" addressed the feline. "Since I am presently going downhill, and my teeth are worn to stumps, and I like to sit by the fire and twist, as opposed to chase about after mice, my courtesan needed to suffocate me. So I took off. Be that as it may, presently solid counsel is scant. Where am I to go? Go with us to Bremen. You comprehend night music, you can be a town performer." The feline appreciated it, and went with them. After this the 3 outlaws came to a ranch yard, where the rooster was sitting upon the door, crowing energetically. "Your crow goes completely one," said the jackass. "What is wrong?" "I have been predicting fine climate, since it is the day on which Our Lady washes the Christ kids' little shirts, and needs to dry them," said the rooster. "However, visitors are coming for Sunday. So the housewife has no pity, and has let the cook know that she expects to eat me in the soup tomorrow, and tonight I am to have my head cut off. Presently I am crowing at full pitch while I can." "Okay, however, Red Brush," said the jackass, "you would be wise to leave away with us. We are going to Bremen. You can find an option that could be preferable over death all over. You have a decent voice, and assuming we make music together, it should have some quality." The rooster consented to this arrangement, and every one of the 4 continued together. They proved unable, notwithstanding, arrive at the city of Bremen in one day, and at night they came to a woods where they intended to spend the evening. The jackass and the dog laid themselves down under a huge tree. The feline and the rooster settled themselves in the branches. However, the chicken flew right to the top, where he was generally protected. Before he nodded off, he looked round on each of the 4 sides, and thought he found somewhere far off a little flash consuming. So he shouted to his mates that there should be a house relatively close, for he saw a light. The jackass said, "Assuming this is the case, we would be advised to get moving on, for the haven here is terrible." The dog felt that a couple of bones with some meat on would do him great as well. So they advanced toward where the light was, and before long saw it sparkle more brilliant and become bigger, until they came to a well-lit burglar's home. The jackass, as the greatest, went to the window and searched in. "What do you see, my dark pony?" asked the chicken. "What do I see?" addressed the jackass. "A table covered with beneficial things to eat and drink, and looters sitting at it living it up. "That would be the kind of thing for us," said the rooster. "Indeed, yes, how I wish we were there," said the jackass. Then, at that point, the creatures consulted together the way in which they ought to figure out how to drive away the looters, and finally they thought about an arrangement. The jackass was to put himself with his front feet upon the window sill, the dog was to hop on the jackass back, the feline was to move upon the canine, and in conclusion the rooster was to fly up and roost upon the top of the feline. At the point when this was finished, at a given sign, they started to play out their music together. The jackass whinnied, the dog yapped, the feline mewed, and the chicken crowed. Then, at that point, they burst through the window into the room. So the glass rattled. At this terrible commotion, the looters jumped up, thinking no in any case than that a phantom had come in, and escaped in an extraordinary trepidation out into the woods. The four sidekicks presently took a seat at the table, well satisfied with what was left, and ate as though they were going to quick for a month. When the four performers had done, they put out the light, and each looked for himself a resting place as indicated by his inclination, and to what fit him. The jackass laid himself downward on some straw in the yard, the dog behind the entryway, the feline upon the hearth close to the warm cinders, and the rooster roosted himself upon a light-emission rooftop, and being worn out from their long walk, they before long nodded off. At the point when it was past 12 p.m., and the looters saw from far off that the light was done consuming in their home, and all showed up peaceful, the chief said, "We should not to have allowed ourselves to be terrified out of our brains," and requested one of them to proceed to analyze the house. The courier, seeing as all actually, went into the kitchen to light a flame, and taking the sparkling searing eyes of the feline for live coals, he held a lucifer match to them to light it. However, the feline didn't figure out the joke, and flew in front of him, spitting and scratching. He was frightfully terrified, and rushed to the secondary passage. However, the canine, who lay there, jumped up and bit his leg, and as he showed across the yard to the straw store, the jackass gave him a savvy kick with its rear foot. The rooster, who had been stirred by the commotion, and had become vivacious, cried down from the bar, "Chicken-a-doodle-doo." Then the burglar ran back as quick as possible to his skipper, and said, "There is a horrendous witch sitting in the house, who spat on me and scratched my face with her long paws, and by the entryway stands a man with a blade, who cut me in the leg, and in the yard there lies a dark beast, who beat me with a wooden club, or more. Upon the rooftop sits the adjudicator, who called out, 'Carry the maverick here to me.' So I moved away too as I could." After this, the looters have little to no faith in themselves in the house once more. However, it fit the four artists of Bremen so well that they didn't want to leave it any longer. What's more, the mouth of him who last recounted this story is still warm.